Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
The back, my friends. It's warm in here, it's cold outside. Right? It's always warm in this place. There's always warm. You guys understand why, right? All the good energies and the way the spirits that take care of this place, they're always ready to receive us with open arms, no matter what kind of vibrations we bring, right? Hopefully good, but sometimes not so much. I see that. He's doing that too. All right, so I'm happy to be here with you guys today, and we're going to talk about the most important intelligence of all. What is it? Anyone want to guess?
Emotional.
Emotional intelligence? Yes, that's important. That is an important intelligence. And I'm going to start asking you, who are the famous people you most admire? Who are they? I see there's a relationship going on. Who are the people you most admire? They can be already past, they don't have to be living.
Jesus.
Jesus, okay.
Kardec.
Oh, we got a spiritist here, so we're gonna get Jesus, we're gonna get Kardec, Emmanuel, Chico Xavier,
Mother Teresa.
Mother Teresa, who else? Gandhi,
Martin Luther King.
Who else we get? What are the people? Huh?
My mom.
Your mom, okay, your mom. Buddha. So these are the people we admire, right? The most. Now, if you ask, and we're here in a spiritual moment. So, and we're obviously spiritually oriented because we are here. We're not at home watching. What is at night on Monday night on TV? I don't watch TV.
Monday night football.
You're missing football tonight. So there's football. So a lot of people are watching football. So, and we're not. So if we ask the majority of the people, we would say that they admire, usually in the case of football, who is a good football player? Tom Brady? I know that because he's married to Giselle. Who else? I don't know, so I'm not going to even try. So usually people will name some of these characters up here, or we have there Steve Jobs, Einstein, Adele, Lincoln, Schopenhauer. Schopenhauer, I don't think so much people know. But so usually when people they admire someone, it's because they admire something they're lacking, right? They really, or they're pursuing it. They want to achieve that. And usually people admire smart people, right? Usually people really admire smart, creative people. And that is, we usually admire IQ. We all know, we're all familiar with IQ, right? That's intelligence. And before, that was the only intelligence that was known. And it's still, that's something we affirm and reaffirm to our kids. We tell them to go to school. They gotta learn, right? They have to be smart. Don't we tell them you gotta learn, you gotta be smart? If you're not smart, you're not gonna be nobody, right? You're gonna be nobody if you don't learn. And as this type of intelligence was what? The top. In society today, that's what we value, right? IQ. And there is the range of IQs there for you to see. I don't know if you have ever taken a little test to find out the IQ. So before, this was the only type of intelligence known. Then came Howard Gardner. Howard Gardner is an American scientist, and he spent a lot of his time at Harvard University doing his research. And that was back in 1984. He started studying the different intelligences. What? Yes, there are multiple intelligences. So if you're not your IQ, if you ever took that test, your IQ was not very high, don't feel bad, because you might have a high grade in the other intelligences. And I brought here, and why this is so important? Why is it so important to know and understand that we have different intelligences? First of all, we as spiritists, we know that each individual is what? Unique. We know that each individual had what? Different experiences through the different reincarnations. And we know that we are all evolving. We're progressing. And each of us are progressing in our own pace. And that's why I brought this quote from him. The biggest mistake of past centuries in teaching has been to treat all students as they were variants of the same individual, thus to feel justified in teaching them all the same subjects the same way. And why this is important? First of all, science is catching up with Spiritism, right? Okay, so we're individuals. We're different. We have different experiences. We cannot be taught the same way. That's also why we have different experiences. We are born in different places, different times, different cultures, with different people, because each of us, we need different lessons. And it is the same, and now they're realizing that. So what are the multiple intelligences? I don't know if you guys can read from the back, so I'll tell you. There's the verbal linguistic intelligence. People that we say, that person, this guy can really talk. This person can really talk. Logical mathematical, that's the IQ. That's Einstein's intelligence. Visual spatial, that's the ability to present the spatial world internally in your mind. You find that with problem solvers. You have architects, engineers, even though they usually have the logical mathematical, they also have the visual spatial intelligence. We have musical intelligence, the sportists, the naturalist, the ability to discriminate among living things, as well as sensitivity to other features of the natural world. Intrapersonal, having an understanding of yourself, of knowing who you are, what you can do. Interpersonal, the ability to understand other people. And existential, to exhibit the proximity to pose and ponder questions about life, death, and ultimate realities. So we have all these different intelligence. And what does this mean? Do we have to? That's how he divided. That's a form that he created so he could study and we could understand. So we are complex beings, right? Are we complex beings, or we are simple? Even though simple as we see, it's very simple mind. That's not. We are complex beings, and we know in evolution we're gonna end up what? Evolving and achieving all these intelligences. But right now we're not. We have some of them evolved and some of them we're working on. So I gave you some examples of people that have shown some of these abilities a little more than others. All right, so Howard Gardner came up and he already shook the whole scientific world. It's not all about IQ. There are different types of intelligence. People are more complex than we thought. Then 10 years later, a little more than a decade later, another doctor, American, called Daniel Goleman, he wrote and published a book called Emotional Intelligence. And we know this now because corporate America took a great, corporate America really held on to this concept because they understood how important it was that people developed their emotional intelligence. I don't know if you're familiar with with that show called Big Bang Theory, The Big Bang Theory? Yes? You know Sheldon?
Yep.
Sheldon Cooper, Dr. Sheldon Cooper?
Yeah.
Do you guys know what I'm talking about? Gabby knows. Someone
Yeah.
else?
Bertha's obsessed with that.
He is. So what he is, he's a physicist. He's a theoretical physicist, and he's extremely intelligent. Very high IQ. But he does not know how to relate to other human beings. He cannot read. He will ask his friends, is she upset or is she happy? Like when he's talking to other people, he has no idea. He can't read other people's emotions. And he doesn't know how to deal with his own emotions, right? A soft kitty, warm kitty. Anyone? I know Gabi knows. I know Chris knows. It's a cute show. And it shows very clear his inability of dealing with his own emotions. So he has a very high IQ and a very low EQ. Do we know people like that? Do you know someone that has high IQ and low EQ? Or someone that has low both? Stop it, he's everything, huh? So what is emotional intelligence? No, you're asking, Priscila, but we're a Spiritism center. Why are you talking about this, right? What is Kardec? And guys, that's what Jesus came to teach us. We're still trying to understand. And the message comes in different forms. Jesus is relentless. He sends his messengers in many forms and his messages in many forms to help us to see if we can get it. And that's why we see, and then I'm bringing you the same message that is in the books that we know, but in a different format. Okay? So what is emotional intelligence? Oh, someone that knows their emotions. Have you noticed people, something happens to them, and something bad, and they're surprised that they're not okay? Have you seen, like, something bad happens to them, but they're surprised that they're not I don't understand. I don't feel so good today. What? This horrible thing just happened to you. It is normal that you don't feel because they're not in touch with their own emotions. And as spirits, that's something we need to understand. It's something that we need to connect to our own emotions. How much you are in touch with your own emotions? How much you know what's going on inside of you, of yourself? Huh? If you're not even aware of your emotions, forget about the second one. Manage your emotions. And that is part of emotional intelligence. We have to learn how to manage our emotions. Because what happens when we do not manage our emotions? I know you haven't, and I'm sorry I'm asking you this question because it's just going to sound silly. Have you ever said or done something you regretted? Because you're mad, upset. I'm sure you didn't, ever. Right, Carlos? You never did that. Well, we do it all the time, right? Hopefully not all the time. Hopefully we're managing our emotions a little better. But that's what happens when we don't manage our emotions. Have you ever read when you're applying for a job, looking for a self-motivated individual? Huh? If you see a lot of the jobs, and if you have been looking for a job recently, you're going to find out that a lot of things that I'm talking about here, they're actually in the description, the job description. That's what they're looking for. Self-motivated individuals. They won't say manage emotions, but they'll say something very similar. If you read in between the lines, they want people that manage their emotions. Empathy. Why empathy is important? I come in, and I'm talking about work because we spend very little time in the Spiritism Center. Most of the time is either with family or at work, right? So you come into work, your coworker is upset because something happened. You don't care. You don't change your behavior. What's going to happen? It's not going to be good, right? Because that person. So you have to understand and know how. You have to feel. And try to feel a little bit what the pain, what that person's coming from, in order to have a good relationship, to be successful. And again, relationship skills. So this is very important. Emotional. So as I'm talking about it, I want you to analyze yourself. Don't think of other people, because other people are not here. Sometimes we come to the Spiritism Center and we think, oh, I wish so-and-so was here to listen to the talk. But we are here. So this is for us. Because if so-and-so was prepared for this or whatever, the so-and-so will be here. Okay, so this is for us. So let's use it. Self-awareness, emotional self-awareness. That's part of the EQ. Other awareness, empathy, organizational awareness, service orientation. Self-management, emotional, self-control, transparency, adaptability, achievement, orientation, initiative, optimism. Why is this so important? Because how can you do anything that Jesus asked us to do without these disabilities? You can't. Or if you try, you're not going to be very successful. We're not going to be very successful. Relationship skills, developing others, inspirational leadership, influence, change, catalyst, conflict management, teamwork and collaboration. Conflict management. That's a good skill to have. To know how to behave when things are crazy, when people are not getting along. And these are things we want to make the world a better place. It's not the world, it's we people. And we have to take all this we talk about in the Spirit Center outside to our lives. Because if we only keep everything we learn here and we don't use it outside, guess what? We're not going to be able to change. And if this was given to us, it's because we have to use it. And sometimes because we think as Jesus' message as a religious message, we kind of put it in a box and say, this is for the center, or that's for my church moment, or that's for my temple moment. And it's not. Jesus' message is much beyond that. What he said is for us to use it today, not only at home with our families, not only in the workplace, but to promote change in the world. Do you think the world needs this? Do you think the world today needs this message? What do you think? Just watch the news. 2 minutes. Does it have to be 5? So if we don't do it, who's going to do it? Who are we waiting for? Jesus already came. We killed him. Right? Also, other messengers, he said it. You killed my messengers. And we keep probably still killing his messages. So his messengers, or at least not listening to them, right? But we are here, we know, and we have to promote change. But, so all the executives, all the high-powered people, corporate America, everyone fell in love with the emotional intelligence because we know if you know how to sell, you know how to talk to people, you know how to sell because you know what they need or convince them because it can't be used for evil, right? Everything can be used. But what happens, but can also be used for a lot of good. So a lot of people that had IQ said, well, I'm missing something, I gotta work on my relationship skills, my emotional skills, they worked on this. But then even though they were okay and they were much improved, they were still lacking something. Why do you think that is? If you know how, you know how to relate, to create, build healthy relationships, why are you still lacking? Why are you still wanting? What are you missing? What are you missing? If we have each other, what are we still missing? I'll give you a hint. What are we missing? God, not the roof or ceiling. We miss God. We miss that connection with a higher power, with something bigger than us, with something that transcends. So even though we have emotional intelligence, so we can relate, we can connect with each other, we're still lacking another type of intelligence. That is spiritual intelligence. And spiritual intelligence has nothing to do with religion. And then you're like, what? Yes, religion can help us understand spiritual intelligence. But religion, if we see religion as a set of principles that comes from a sacred book, that has hierarchy and it's a closed group, then that's not what spirituality is about. Spirituality is about transcending. Spirituality is something that is also neutral, agnostic not in the sense of not believing in God, agnostic in the sense that technological sense that it fits anyone, right? So anyone, it doesn't matter what kind of religion you have, we need a spirituality, we need spiritual intelligence. Cindy Wigglesworth, she is an American executive. She worked for, in Texas, she's from Texas, she worked for oil companies for a long time. I mean, we say that automatically like she's evil. Why you bring the phrase of someone that works for the oil company? She's no good. And she has her own little thing that she talks about the oil companies because we kind of, make them the bad wolf and things are more complex than that, but I'm not here to defend them because I don't know enough to defend the situation. So you can listen to her if you wish. You can just Google her. But she did extensive study on spiritual intelligence, on SQ, and she described it as the ability to behave with compassion and wisdom while maintaining inner and outer peace, equanimity, regardless of the circumstances. Wow. So to have a high SQ, and equanimity means calmness of mind. So the ability to behave with compassion and wisdom while maintaining inner and outer peace regardless of the circumstances. And if we think about it, now I'll ask you again, remember when you guys were telling the names of the people you admired first? And you said Jesus. Jesus. This describes him, right? He had the ability to behave with compassion and wisdom while maintaining inner and outer peace, regardless of the circumstances. Gandhi, Mother Teresa, and these people all came to your minds when I asked who you admired. And remember we talked about the shadow, the dark part of us, the things that we deny we have, that we don't want to deal with. When we see good, like you just came out with the people that you admire, we just came out with the people we admire, that's our golden side. That's the thing we aspire to be. These are the things we aspire to have as our own talents, as our own achievements. So that's really good that we have here, everyone has high, you start with Jesus, then it's like, okay, you're done. That's good. So the development of the spirit needs, first, the building block. You have to have IQ, because you have to understand the laws of God, right? We need IQ. We need to understand. Like if you grab for example, the Spirit's book, even the Gospel, Gabi was here, about 10 minutes trying to explain a phrase that Jesus said. So we are processing with our brain, so we need our IQ. So we need to develop our IQs. We need to develop our EQ, because we have to have emotional intelligence. And as we develop all that, we are also striving for what? For higher spiritual intelligence. So that's our goal, right there, to get enlightened. And the same lady, she studied it a lot, and she studied it first for the big companies, because the top executives, since they first learned about emotional intelligence, they wanted to know, they're okay, but I'm still missing something, I'm lacking something. And then she goes, oh, really? Of course you are. And then they wanted to go a second step. So it's really great. This message is really great because it's being sponsored by big corporations. So they're interested in this message. They're interested in developing. Again, it's neutral. It's not attached to religion, because they want to make it not a specific religion, because they want to make it universal so anyone can use this method, but it's something that can help us too. So, and she talks about this, the main point of spiritual intelligence. And one here, the first one is, the first quadrant is self-awareness. Awareness of own worldview, awareness of life purpose, awareness of values, hierarchy, complexity of inner thoughts, awareness of ego, self, and higher self. Because we all have our egos, and our ego is necessary for survivors. For us to survive, we have to survive, and the ego helps us with that. But we have our higher self. Our higher self is the part of us that aspire to be better, perfect. And then there's the second part, the universal awareness. So after you're aware of yourself, what do you want, what your purpose is, then we have universal awareness. Then is the interconnectedness of life, awareness of worldviews of others. Okay, now you know your worldview, but are you aware that your worldview is not the only one? Because the problem is sometimes we get stuck in the first one. So the way I see the world, that's the truth. But then we stop our spiritual development because we have to also be aware that for other people there are different worldviews. And then the time perception, how we perceive time, awareness of the limitations. Are we aware of human limitations? Why that's so important? Because we sometimes, we get disillusioned a lot. Who gets disillusioned a lot? Any of you? You don't have to tell me. Just think about things. It's because we expect too much. If we're expecting too much and getting disappointed, it's because we're not understanding reality. Because once we understand reality, you don't get disappointed. Because you know what is coming. Right? You know what is coming. Awareness of spiritual laws, and that's, Spiritism is really awesome. Kardec did a great job to help us with that, with the spiritual laws, the natural laws. Experience of transcendent oneness. So after you master yourself, after you understand others, then you come to the next one, self-mastery. So one thing is awareness. The other thing is to master yourself. Then commitment to spiritual growth, keeping higher self in charge. What is keeping higher self in charge? Is, you know, when you're in your best behavior and you're proud of yourself, like you have that good day that you said what you wanted to say, and you acted from compassion, from wisdom, you're able to control your emotions and behave the way you think you should behave, that is it. But acting most of the time from your higher self, not from your ego. Because every time we get sensitive, every time we get upset, we're acting from our ego, not from our higher self, because our higher self is humble, knows humility. Sustaining faith, seeking guidance from spirit. And then the last one, social mastery. Wise and effective teacher. So after you have awareness of yourself, you have awareness of others, you have self-control, then you become a teacher. And the leaders that we know, the people that we admire, they went through this process without even realizing they went through this process. But now, thank God we have now at least more help so we can understand. And wise and effective teacher, mentor, wise and effective leader. And people are not born leaders, and that's the thing. A leader is someone that motivates, inspires people, makes people do better things, learn more. Being a boss. That's what. So don't confuse being a leader with being a boss, okay? Being a boss is something different. Because being a leader is a calming and healing presence. You know the people that makes you feel good when they're around you? Being aligned with the ebb and flow of life. That's when we connect with the cosmic truth. We connect with all these energies, these vibrations, with the higher spirits. We connect with them and we can exchange, we can receive, and we can also give. So that's us. We're looking, right? We're looking and we have, so I want you to have this mental picture of us searching. And we're not searching alone. We're searching, we have each other. Our little path that we're going to find. And to help you, because I want to make things, because sometimes we talk so much here at the center about the spiritual things and how the parables, the Jesus parables, and we try to understand Jesus parables, but then we start getting anxious about but how do I work this? How do I make this happen? And just to be practical, there are some signs of spiritual intelligence development. So see if you have any one of these. And these are just some. Prosperity to contemplative knowledge, like propensity to contemplative knowledge. Do you reflect upon things? When things happen, when you read, or do you meditate about things? Or things just happen, they just happen to you? You're just taken by things. You're always reacting. The ability of considering facts from several perspectives. Can you see different perspectives, or are you stuck with, I was born this way, I will die this way? Spiritual pursuit in practice. I believe so, you're here. Thinking freedom, reconsidering one's own beliefs and conception upon reality. The ability to love. Giving and receiving love. Not only giving, receiving love is important, because some people give, but they have a hard time receiving love. Holistic approach, respect for all beings, approval of differences, devoting oneself to others under no pretense. What is no pretense? You're not expecting anything. Kindness, generosity, compassion, the power to forgive, humility, aesthetic, sensitive and taste for beauty, and self-confidence. I know it's a lot to process, but... And so Jesus taught us exactly that. In his own way, well, not in his own way, the way he could, and he needed back in the time. Because if he said in the way we just showed you now, it wouldn't be very effective. Jesus taught us to open this door of understanding, awakening to great inner changes which produce wisdom, peace, balance, and an environment conducive to the perfection and discovery of new life in values and purposes. And I brought you, before we end, another text so you can reflect. Every human being senses an inner longing that goes deeper than longings for emotional and creative fulfillment. This longing comes from sensing that another, more fulfilling state of consciousness and a larger capacity to experience life must exist. So even though we can be top in the world, whatever the world is demanding or things to stop, we're longing for something else. All of us, no matter if you're in the little tribe isolated from the rest of humanity, you're gonna long for something better, from something bigger than yourself, and to make that connection. So ways to achieve, to work on a higher SQ level. Duty, helping and being helped by the community. Listen, it's important too, because help, yes, we understand because we're Christians, right? Help is yeah, we get that. Charity, but also being helped, because that's humble. We work with humility. And I know that sometimes it's hard for us. It's easier for us to give, but then to receive. Caring, assisting in the improvement, emotional, physical health of our brothers and sisters. Knowledge, to study the deep and philosophical meaning of things. We do that in Spiritism. Personal transformation, knowing, understanding, and transforming. Because you don't only know and understand, you also have to transform. And brotherhood, seek justice and equality. Not only, again, in the Spiritist Center, we have to use it outside. We cannot just stay in our houses and simply pray. We have to live, because if we only needed to pray for everything, we would be in the spiritual world. Because there you just need to pray. Of course, I'm not demeaning the power of prayer, but sometimes we need more than prayer. We need action. We need to take action for things to change. Service, leadership, leading through devotion. Why leading through devotion? Because that's the only type of leadership that people really respect. Because all the people you guys mentioned, and I also thought, are people that devoted themselves to others. That's the only type of leadership that we truly, truly respect. And just to end, Mahatma Gandhi, you guys mentioned him. We often confuse spiritual knowledge with spiritual attainment. Spirituality is not a matter of knowing scriptures and engaging in philosophical discussions. It is a matter of heart culture, of immeasurable strength. So spirituality is a matter of the heart, not only the head. We know that the head is the base, IQ helps us, but spirituality is in the top of our pyramid. And to get there, we need our heart.